Okay. All right. Welcome everybody to another episode of Gamers University podcast. I'm your host, Michael Santiago. And today I have joined with me, Alan Silberberg. What's going on, Alan?
Hey, Michael. I'm good, thanks. How about you?
Good, good. So why don't you let the audience know, what do you do for a living?
Sure. I'm a career coach. I've done that for the last, more than 25 years, which means I help people in their job search, which is, I'm not a headhunter. It means I focus on the individual's needs, and it's all aspects of their job search. That includes helping the person decide what to do, working with them on their resumes, cover letters, all those materials, and every aspect of their job search.
Okay.
Let me sort of talk through that in sort of in a more thematic way. I think that'll make more sense. There's people can control more in a job search than they might think. Now, it's really, and once you start to understand that, like many things you want to do in life, you want to create an action plan.
Right.
And you want to have a clear goal. That's going to lead to the best results.
Right.
For a job search, the basis of that action plan is applying some classic marketing principles of having the right messaging and reaching the right audience, for you as the product.
Right. Right.
So now let me sort of talk through what that actually means in a step-by-step basis. It means first you want to have that clear goal. What does the person want to do? And what do they want to do is not just, I want to have a nice life and work with people who I like. That's true, but that's not specific enough to go after. It has to be tangible. It has to be specific. So, what job do they want to have? And who do they want to do it for? Not a specific company, but what industry and where do they want to work? So now you have some specifics of which you could then aim for. The expression is not ready, fire, aim. It's ready, aim, fire. The aim is important. So with that aim, it allows you to do everything else because you're writing your resume as a sales brochure for that audience, not just based upon what your last company wanted you to do. It's about what will be most important to that next company. That's why you have to have them in mind.
So, okay, awesome. So let me, I have a question. So, when somebody comes in and is asking for your services, do they always know what they want to do, or do you sometimes even help them decide what they even want to do before they can even go on that path of finding their career?
It varies. Some people come in knowing exactly what they want to do. Some people perceive they have no idea. They often have more of an idea than they think.
What do you mean by that?
So they'll be able to say, I want to do something creative in nature, but I also want it to be able to be involved in connecting with people at the same time. I like doing that. I'm not sure what that is.
Right. Okay.
So they know they have an idea, so they have some ideas, but they don't know what jobs they can help people that are also creative in nature.
Right.
So then it becomes just narrowing that down to the specifics. And I've been doing this long enough that if I, talk through what the person's done, there's also a practicality of particularly when you're dealing with experienced people, they'll want to maintain a certain lifestyle. Therefore, they'll want their income will have to be based upon areas where they tend to have at least some transferable skills or experiences.
Right.
Therefore, that starts them on the path of, okay, what have they done? They know in terms of a skill set. So maybe that person's been effective at sales or client relationship management. Okay, so if you know that, then it becomes what are the fields where creativity are involved in being more effective at generating sales or managing those relationships.
Right. Do you
finding services as an example.
Do you ever come across a person who wants to, let's say, be an accountant, but they're, let's say, for example, terrible at math or something like that, where they want to follow a career where you think they won't be successful at? Do you intervene in that way? Do you say, hey, listen, I don't think this is right for you? or do you say, okay, you want to do this? Let me just show you. This is what you have to do in order to.
Oh, I always, if something doesn't make sense to me,
Mm,
if it doesn't add up, by nature, I'm a logical person.
mm,
So if something doesn't add up, I'll continue to ask why. So
mm,
maybe the reason that the person wants to be a accountant
mm.
is they, love working, and understanding how businesses work. Or maybe
Right.
there's other roles they could play that are less connected to math where they can do that.
Oh,
That's
that's fascinating.
so
Very
it's really
fascinating.
around, okay, it's around understanding the why. Usually though, if someone isn't good at math, they don't
Mhm.
want to be an accountant. So that particular issue doesn't come up
Right.
all that much.
Oh.
Which is usually they're running from it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So let's backtrack a little bit. So
Sure.
I'll ask you a question that's kind of meta. So how did you end up becoming a career coach? Like what made you decide like me helping someone find a career is the career I want, you know? You know what I mean?
I do. Well, I'm the first generation professional. I'm a child of blue collar. My father was an immigrant. My
Mm-hmm.
mother's second generation in the United States. And so when I started my professional career, and I started it in accounting,
Oh wow.
I was good
Look
at
at
math.
that. Look at that. Me making
I was good at
examples.
math. So that part was true. Um, I was clueless. I was clueless
Mm,
about how to land the job. I was clueless about what to do in the professional world.
mhm,
I considered myself smart and ambitious, and I thought that would be enough. I eventually fumbled my way to landing my first job and did okay from there.
mm,
But what I realized was it isn't about succeeding in a career, isn't only about how smart and ambitious you are or how effective you were.
right.
It's also about how you were able to find opportunities and promote yourself. So I saw the value in that. And that prompted me to leave accounting.
Mhm.
And from there, I became a recruiter, different role than I'm in now. So I was
Yeah.
a recruiter or a headhunter, and I was effectively a broker between the individual. So I was helping the individual find their next better opportunity. So I was contributing to that goal and connecting them to the company that would hire them. But and at first that's exciting, and it's you're
Mhm.
generating deals. That's exciting. It feels like you're a
Yeah.
big business then. It's a
Yeah.
great thing.
Do you
But
remember your first person that you helped get a job by any chance?
I remember, yeah, I think I do.
Wow.
Yeah, I do. I think I could name the first. I remember also my first big deal, a first larger deal that I claimed. This was, going back before people were sending emails. Um, I was working on a job, and the way recruitment works is that it often works on a contingency basis. So it means your company only gets paid if
Mhm.
you were the one who made the placement. So companies, rightfully so, would list the same position with several different recruiters, figuring they get a better pool of candidates.
Right.
And whoever, if two companies we're working on the same job, often they'll end up with the same people. Whoever sent the person first got credit. I
Right.
remember my first big deal was because, you know, I sent the resume in, or the person at the front desk sent the resume in 30 minutes before someone else did.
Oh.
That person landed the job. I got, we got paid, I got paid. It's a beautiful
Wow.
thing.
Yeah, you know what? I never thought about a recruiter being like a human broker.
Oh,
You know,
that's exactly,
they,
yeah, or a real estate broker. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, exactly.
that's fascinating.
Yeah, and ultimately it was less satisfying because one, whether I sent that resume in
Mhm.
or someone else did 45 minutes later, that person would have landed the job anyway. So it's
Right.
not like I really, I didn't, that person changed their life. And ultimately, if you're working as a recruiter, the company is the one paying for that.
Mhm.
So you're focusing on their needs,
The company's needs.
the company's needs,
Okay.
and sort of the individuals getting helped sometimes by accident,
Mhm.
only when what they love happens to agree with what the company wants. But you're not
Right.
really helping you're not there to help the individual. You're not there to hurt the individual.
Mm-hmm.
You're there to serve the company and accidentally, occasionally helping the individual.
Oh, okay.
And at first that was enough for me, but over time it became, okay, this is less meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I even got to the point where I thought, well, if I'm really, if I would focus on helping the individual do exactly what they love, they would be working in places that they absolutely love,
Mm-hmm.
and their employers would love it even more, even if they weren't the ones paying for that.
Right.
And once I came to that realization, I recognized, okay, I was I was in the wrong place. I sold out my interest in a recruitment business I co-founded, and I began to be a career coach. So that's what led me to being a career coach. So the idea of then helping the individual, I thought was more meaningful to me and to the person, and ultimately even whether the company knew it or not, I think it helped them more too.
Really?
As a bonus. Yeah.
Wow. So is it, when it comes to being a career coach, is there a degree involved, or how do you become a career coach?
There's many paths to get there. There are people who do get degrees in career counseling, and certainly, so that's it. And often it's a master's program.
Okay.
That's often required if you're working in an education setting. Certainly, if you're working in a high school, and certainly in a university, it's often required as well.
When you're working in a school setting, what position is that? Is this
you could be a career counselor or guidance counselor in a high school,
okay.
or you could work in career services in a university.
Mm-hmm.
There's career services departments in universities.
Okay.
So that's what those roles tend to be. I did this work primarily in corporate outplacement, and the way corporate outplacement works is that when companies downsize people, and the unfortunate reality is that it's a regular part of what companies do to make themselves more efficient and more profitable.
Yeah.
They do treat their people well as they exit, often very well, but they're exiting not of their choice. As part of that exit, part of treating them well is providing them with services that exiting company is paying for to help them with their job search.
Okay.
And I worked for companies like that for around 20 years.
Wow.
So I got to work with people in all industries, professions, levels. I got to learn about industries that I never would have possibly known, circumstances, role professions that I never would have known about. It's been an amazing journey. I got to learn about the business world through other people's eyes. So
wow. What are some of like the standouts of just some of your favorite memories?
Early on in my career, one of the first senior people I got to work with was a gentleman named Mike. I'm not going to say his last name.
Great name.
Was that great name? Yeah, great guy. great guy. He worked as a senior coffee trader for one of the leading investment banks in the world.
Wow.
And they were the market leader in that area as well. And they downsized him. He was doing great, but they decided that that market was not going to grow. So they just shrunk that department. Have nothing to do with him. And he looked at a couple of roles at inside the coffee trading industry. Didn't love him. He had left the best firm. There's no place he wanted to do it. And he also understood that that market was shrinking. At the time, the world was going through energy deregulation.
Oh.
Okay. And because of that, there were some wide open markets in terms of energy trading. And since it was a brand new area, no one was experienced. But he understood trading. He understood how to manage markets. And so therefore, he understood how to apply that to that world.
Right.
He ended up landing 2 jobs.
Wow.
He made the right choice. And then when I tell you what they were, you'll understand. One was with Enron, That was the one that he turned down. Even
Oh,
then, Mike was smart enough to know that, because, this place is, not only is this industry of the Wild West, this place is the Wild West. He figured that out. The other was with a lower tier Fortune 500 company in New Jersey.
mhm.
He ended up coming in as a senior vice president and eventually became the CEO of the company.
Wow.
So it was really amazing. And one of the things, that I realized through his search, because this was fairly early in my career, was
Mm.
now I would work with people and I teach them all aspects of their job search, not just how to write the resume, but of how to target companies and network effectively and the keys to interviewing effectively.
Mhm.
And so I thought that what I was providing most of all is all the techniques, and that's certainly important.
Right.
However, what enabled him to succeed, he woke up one day,
Mhm.
looked in the mirror and said, I'm my effing blank, and I'm going to make this work. And
Oh,
from that
wow.
day forward, he did the same things, but he did them with a greater tenacity, um, and ended up getting far better results. So,
Wow.
the part that you could only encourage
Mhm.
and you can't truly give to someone is attitude. And their attitude, is the most critical X factor in someone's success in a job search.
Mhm.
I could teach anyone everything about job search.
Right.
Um, I did that. I've taught it to other people too who didn't have the attitude
Mhm.
and they struggled.
Right.
So I clearly
Gotta
saw
have that it
succeeding
factor.
differently. Oh
Right.
yeah, it's that desire,
Right.
and belief, and the inner belief that you can succeed. You know,
That's
I had
right.
a client who struggled with that, and um, he would watch inspirational movies,
Mhm.
and I didn't think to do that, but he landed a far better job than I would have expected. So I started telling him
Wow.
to watch
So that works.
Rudy, watch Rocky, and it worked
Rocky.
for him.
Rocky. You know how many jobs people, grab watching
Yeah,
Rocky?
yeah, exactly. Just you just just put the theme song on, it'll help. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh
exactly.
man.
And so that's
Yeah.
that's an element of it, that you can encourage, but everyone has to find their own way to that on some level.
Right. 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 So, so what do you do now exactly? Like, where do you work?
Yeah. So what I do now is I've recently left corporate outplacement. I work for a national nonprofit organization, Perscolis, which has a great model.
Mm.
They've won awards for their model. They've gotten support in terms of competitive grants, and they've got support from Google and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They're really doing great.
Wow.
And they work with people in underserved communities
Mhm.
and have them go through an IT boot camp of different specialties, either
Mhm.
12 or 15 weeks,
Right.
which makes them marketable to land their first professional job in information technology. I am starting to work with these people, and just like I was in corporate aspect of place in all aspects of their job search, how to
Really?
write your resume, how to create a LinkedIn profile, all the aspects of how to target the jobs that you want and how to
Mhm.
network effectively, understanding what it takes to interview effectively, and teaching them all the aspects and teaching them, because they haven't done it before, what it takes to fit into a professional corporate environment, because all
Wow.
that's new to them.
You're
So
really
on some level,
guiding someone from the
yeah,
bottom up.
and for me it's so satisfying because I've come full circle. As I said, I was first generation immigrant blue collar family from the Bronx.
Mhm.
Well, this organization started in the Bronx, and I'm
Wow.
working. It's now nationwide, but I'm working in their Bronx location. So I'm
That's
working
awesome.
with people, many of which are facing those same circumstances. First generation immigrants,
Mhm.
first professional in their family entering the professional world.
Wow, that's exciting.
So it's
It really is.
incredibly exciting to me. And as much as as people see me now, they may not see me in that vein.
Mhm.
I very much relate to who those people are because I
Right.
went through it myself.
So it's amazing. You as a career coach have found a way to like give back to the community with your in your profession. And
Yes.
that is just so rewarding, and thank you so much for helping, those in need. It's
I
amazing what
started
you
doing
do.
that over the last couple of years as well. I just, I volunteered for an organization that does similar work
Mhm.
through universities, with first generation college students. And
Right.
also last year during the pandemic, I made it a point to put a lot of articles out there, messages in the world. And within my community, I offered several free workshops to a variety of organizations, helping as many people I can in delivering job search techniques.
Hmm.
Because last year was I've been through worse job markets than last year, but last year seemed very daunting. But
Hmm.
with very specific strategies, people were actually able to succeed last year as much as they were in prior years. But I didn't believe it.
Hmm.
Even as I was going through it, I didn't
Right.
believe it. So I'm sure that job seekers, as they're starting their job search, one of the most frustrating things about any job search is that it's the great unknown. You're taking these
Mm.
actions and you hope you're going to get the response you want, but you don't know.
Right.
And you don't know when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen. So it's hard to feel hope and keep going. And it's hard to know what to do when you're not getting that feedback. So that's why that was so particularly important last year.
Right. Right. Yeah.
It was
No,
an incredible market last year. It was
really.
it's one like I've never seen.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
that's
it was
fascinating.
yeah.
So
Let me in terms of last year was
yeah.
a market of the have and have nots. So
Mhm.
I worked with people who are coming out of the hospitality industry, hotel companies, car rental companies, and they were doing, of course, their companies were doing awful last year.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But some companies were doing equally great. Anything
Mm.
connected to online products or services were doing great. Anything related to
Wow.
healthcare was doing great. Um, and so I worked with someone who couldn't have worked this job search harder.
Hmm.
Um, and he was a strategy director for a hospitality company. He
Hmm.
became a strategy director for a leading pharmaceutical company. He
Wow.
worked it to a T. When he applied for that job, even though he had a network contact that helped get him inside, which is
Hmm.
critical because he never would have gotten noticed without that.
Right.
Always, it's when in doubt in a job search, the right answer is networking. It's really is. There's an
Yeah.
art to doing it well, and he followed it to a T. Um, but even doing that, he went through probably a dozen interviews, and every step he outworked everybody else, and that's how he landed that job.
Wow.
It's I'm thrilled that I was a part of it.
Yeah.
And he was thrilled with the result, and he did an amazing job. It's an incredible search that I never, if I had a place a bet of that succeeding, I
Hmm.
don't think you could have given me odds high enough.
Wow. That's great. So someone's success is, you feel like it's like your success. You feel like you feed off of people's successes.
Oh, no doubt.
Wow.
That's the
That's
best
amazing.
part of it. When
Yeah.
someone's landing a job, it's like, wow, it's incredibly
Hmm.
exciting. They're going to it, but it's like, wow, this is amazing because it's all the promises in front of them, and
Hmm.
all that hard work has now paid off. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
That's great. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Um.
I've done this. I said it for over 25 years.
Yeah.
It's exciting every time. It's never
Wow.
stopped being exciting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's great. I love that. I love that you're so passionate about it. That's wonderful. Good for
Yeah,
you.
it's easy to be passionate about that.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's go into the second part of the
Sure.
podcast, which is games. And this episode is very special because I don't know if anyone knows out there that's listening, but I've been a tester for a game that Alan has created. So technically, Alan is a game creator. And we're going to be talking about that. And Alan, the floor is yours. What's the name of the game that you've created?
Sure. The name of the game is Career Skyway. It's a video game that
Mhm.
helps people in their job search. It's, you know, I'm not an expert on video games, but I am an expert on job search.
That's right. We just talked about it. Yep.
So that certainly was my premise. What it does,
Mm-hmm.
like I was describing, when I talk about my work, it walks the player through 8 steps of a job search. The
Okay.
first 2 starting with defining what the person wants to do. I was fortunate to have an amazing partner in that. I'm partnering with the online version of What Color Is Your Parachute, eParachute.
Mm-hmm.
And What Color Is Your Parachute has used this methodology of helping people um, decide what they want to do for 50 years. It goes back to the Holland Code, which is over 50 years old, and
Wow.
methodology that Dick Bowles created, who's the author of What Color Is Your Parachute, was blessed by Dr. Holland himself. That's
Wow.
how original this
Yeah.
is. And it extracts information from a series of inputs, not only the Holland Code, the person's skills and fields, and then connects to actually making career choices.
Mm-hmm.
Recommends 10 career choices, which is pulled from a Bureau of Labor Statistic tool called the ONET. That's highly regarded, used by millions of people since the 1970s. So although it's a very new tool, its basis is incredibly well tested.
Wow, that's fascinating. So what did you get the idea to create this game? Like where did the idea come from?
You know, in a as I talk about what I do, there's certainly parts of it when I work with individuals that's all very different.
Mm-hmm.
But there are several parts of it are the same every time. Beyond helping the person decide what they want to do, when I'm teaching the basics of how to write a resume,
Right.
now those basics pretty much the same. If I'm teaching a one person, I'm teaching a group of people, whether the person's an accountant, an engineer, a teacher,
Mm-hmm.
they're the same. And the same for how to create their LinkedIn profile and how to write their cover letter. And the same for the basics of how to job search, how to answer job postings and what recruiters do and how to network
Right.
and how to succeed on interviews, both in theory, how to behave, as well as how to answer specific interview questions and how to do that. Those parts are all the same.
Right.
So, and and since they are the same, as a career coach, if I was to work with someone, when I worked with people individually on all those aspects, 8 different aspects. What do you want to do? How to write your resume? How to write cover letters? Or your LinkedIn profile? Every aspect of job search, from from recruiters to job postings to networking to getting ready for how to prepare for interviews. All those items. Now, if I did that as an individual career coach, or an individual career coach does that, it costs people probably close to $1,000.
Wow.
So now, if I created a video game,
Mm-hmm.
it democratizes that information. It makes it available to everyone. And I don't, have an exact price, but it'll be the price of buying any of the typical video game.
Right.
That's going to be a small fraction of that. Now, and I realized that I taught some workshops to individuals who were in college,
Mm-hmm.
and they were all smart. They were all incredibly smart, very fast, very ambitious as well. But those that were succeeding in their job search, wasn't intelligence was the difference. No, it was about understanding what they wanted
Mm-hmm.
and understanding how to get there.
Right.
Well, Career Skyway helps them do that. Now, they certainly could, read a book. They can go to videos. They could visit their university's career services offices. But they didn't do that much. One, they wanted to do it when they wanted to do it. Well, a video game does that.
Mm-hmm.
They also wanted it to be fast, and they wanted to be engaged, and they wanted to be entertained as they did it. Well, the video game does that, because what the video game does, the mythos of the game is that the player is going through a journey. They progress on the journey, along and the journey is along the Career Skyway. They get equipment for and tools to help them progress on that journey, and then they progress on that journey by mastering different job search techniques.
Right.
So they learn the technique, they demonstrate, they master it, they get a reward that helps them move forward on their journey to ultimately to a final destination. So the player's journey along the career skyway mirrors the journey that a job seeker would go through while they learn how to job search.
So when the character learns how to write a resume, it'll help progress them in the game. That type
Absolutely, yeah. So when they players demonstrate they understand how to write the resume, they get a reward for that helps them progress in the game.
That's cool.
The same when they learn how to network, and the same when they learn how to interview. Even like during the interview process, as you think about it, if you're going from the first interview to the second interview to the final stage, well, along the way, there's less and less people who are then going after that same job because the company is narrowing down the pool who they're looking at. So maybe they're starting with 10 people, and then they're bringing back 4 for the next round, and then eventually 2. Well, the game mirrors that and eliminates competitors as you continue to do better in the interview process. I mean, it's that level of
that's cool.
Imagery that you get to actually see. Okay, this is really what's happening. We're just doing it in a game form.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And it's such a fascinating idea of having those resources all in one package, so that you can help figure out what you want to do in life, and in a least expensive way to do it.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. That's why people loved it. When we did testing, the feedback constantly was, can you make it shorter? Which at first surprised me, because it would take people around an hour and a half, and I'm thinking, man, sometimes I teach this for days. They're thinking an hour and a half is too long. And so we kept on working to find ways to make it faster. And we also find ways that people could take breaks in between scenes and pick up from where they left off. So this way they didn't have to do it all at once. So all that made it more appealing from a user experience standpoint. So I was fortunate that on the team, whereas I'm an expert on job search, my team is experts on video games.
Right.
I have, besides people like you who run a gaming podcast, I have other people who played games professionally and reviewed games professionally. I have people who are user experience and user interface experts, plus all the developers. They just love games.
Yeah.
This is for them, it's a work of joy, which is great. So it's really been
it's a great marriage.
Yeah, and in general, when they were developing the game, if it was a job search question, I tended to have the final say. When it was a game-related question, I rarely would give. I don't recall the time I gave myself the final say. I might have an opinion, but I'd quickly say, but I don't have the answer. What do you guys think?
Right.
And you guys know.
So is this available? Where does it stand right now, the game?
Right now, I'm piloting it. I've piloted it with some nonprofit groups. I'm in the process of getting some universities to pilot it that way too. I'm in some early discussions with a digital marketing firm that's about to launch it. I don't have an exact date for that yet, but if someone does have an interest in it, certainly they can reach out to me directly, and feel free to publicize this in any way that you want, Michael. They can reach out directly at alan@careerskyway.com, and I'll find a way to get them access.
Awesome. So
I've tested it. People have loved it. Everyone got something out of it. I work with this guy, Nick, who decided on a new career by using the game, and then used the interview prep to actually land a job in that field. I worked with Jacob, who helped him write a better resume, and I worked with Lainey, who helped to decide some career ideas that she had never thought of before, and Deborah used it to prepare better for interviews. I mean, so everyone gets a lot of people get something different out of it, but everyone gets something.
That's amazing. Wow. And it truly has everything you need from start to finish of if you want to start a new job, new career, or just find out a little bit more about yourself. It has literally everything there. Resume.
It walks LinkedIn, from what do you want to do? LinkedIn, exactly. What do you want to do? Resumes, LinkedIn, cover letters, how to all the aspects of job search, most of which people don't really understand. They understand, okay, I'm supposed to network, but they don't know what this means. This tells you what it means.
Yeah.
And how to do it. And if you're off track, it fixes it as well. And how to interview. So yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. Oh, so I can't wait for this to be out there for people to play and to see. It's gonna be amazing. Wow.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Alan. This has been great talk, great discussion. I loved learning more about your job as a career coach. And you have an amazing game for everyone to experience. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming.
My pleasure, Michael. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, awesome. Take care.
Bye-bye.